Trust the profits. It is the formula with here at the Global Brew Tap House in beautiful Schaumburg, Illinois. Yes, we've got some snow falling here, the first snow of the season, and I am running low on my Go Juice. But having said that, we are here to talk about the Derby. Why are we talking about the Derby? The Derby is how many days away? 162. But we just got through the BC Juvenile a couple weeks ago. We have a couple other races of interest with some 2-year-olds running that could factor in. Who knows? I was looking at my notes here. I was looking at my slides from a year ago, and we had Mystic Dan on our top 10 a year ago to the day. Just throwing it out there. We had him on our radar. Mystic Dan. A little bit out of nowhere horse. But we were talking about him November of last year. So we talk about the Kentucky Derby winner this time around, the 2025 winner. We'll see. We'll see. It could happen. It's happened before. What are we going to go through here? Obviously, AI image of the week. Horse gambler who can't catch a break. Not a picture of this guy, I hope. But a picture of that guy. That's who Gemini thinks it is. Or Google's AI imaging. Whatever. Pretty sad looking. We can move on from that pretty soon here. Power rankings. I'll just call it my top 10 rankings. Where I think the horses land right now. Something that we are going to iterate through a number of times between now and May as we figure out who are really the big contenders here. A lot of that comes from BC Juvenile right now, but we got a couple others that are on the radar that I wanted to give mention to. Those come out of the recent races, which is my third bullet point. And obviously, we've got some upcoming races that we want to draw attention to as well. Fun times. Fun times. I love this time of year. Just starting to break ground on a couple things, aren't we? Yeah, having some fun here. All right, let's move on. First thing we have here, 2024 race schedule. We got through the Iroquois, Jonathan's Way. Got through American Pharoah, Citizen Bull. Got through Breeders' Cup, Breeders' Futurity. It always trips me up. East Avenue, Chancer McPatrick, Sovereignty, and Citizen Bull getting the Breeders' Cup Juvenile win on 11-1, as we all know. Got a number of races coming up still in the 2024 calendar year. Right after Thanksgiving, we've got the Kentucky Jockey Club at Churchill Downs. Exciting. That's always a good time. Remsen. I always like watching Remsen. You get some interesting horses coming out of there. It goes 9 furlongs, so it's one of the longer races at this point in the year. You see a lot of 8.5 furlongs now. You still get even a couple 8 furlong races. But the Remsen is the first one to note of 9 furlongs. So I always like to take note of that. Springboard Mile at Remington, Los Alamitos Futurity, and then Gunrunner Stakes. A couple fun races in there. A couple horses that might stick out along the way. We'll see what happens. And then we've got the big race schedule coming up. Way too early to be talking about these. This is the 2025 race schedule. I pulled out the European races because they don't generate a whole lot of horses actually coming into the Derby, so I will not be looking at those. But yeah, if El Hombre wants to do another Tour de Force this year, this is more or less what it's going to look like. Probably starting with Lecomte. I believe that's where he starts usually. So if you're interested, just hit him up. El Hombre _TTP at Twitter. It's his Twitter handle or X, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, moving on. Oh, yes, Kentucky Derby 5-3. Mark your calendars for next year. 162 days away from when I am recording this right now, which is Wednesday. Juvenile winners. Before I do that, let's go through the Juvenile real quickly here. Let's see the stretch run here.
And gaming, and they turn for home together. The stablemates 1-2, they're into the stretch. Citizen Bull in front, trying to take him all the way, and he kicks away. Citizen Bull by 2. Gaming is all out second. Getaway car third. Baffert 1, 2, 3 as they come to the finish. It is going to be Citizen Bull and Martin Garcia to win.
Yeah, Citizen Bull finished that off. Gate to wire win with Gaming right behind him. Gaming just sort of stuck to the pace the whole time out there, stayed a couple lengths back, and finished like that. Citizen Bull is your winner, though. What does that mean for the Kentucky Derby? This is Kentucky Derby talk, not Kentucky Derby talk, not BC Juvenile talk. What does that mean? Is this a horse we're going to see in Kentucky Derby? Chances are yes. A lot of people talking about recent history. Oh, hey, got some horses not showing up here. Obviously, the year Corniche won, not a single Derby contestant even came out of that race, as far as I can remember. Didn't even show up himself. I think we got one more race out of Corniche after that. Forte was a scratch. Forte looked like the favorite going into the Kentucky Derby that year, but he scratched out due to medical reasons. Fierceness, a horse that at his best was the best, at his worst was 15th out of 20 in the Derby. Citizen Bull, where does he rank? Let's take a look at the horses before that, though. We've got Essential Quality, came in fourth or third, depending on how you feel about Medina Spirit. Third place is the official. Storm the Court, sixth place. Game Winner, fifth. Good Magic, second. Classic Empire, fourth. Nyquist, the winner. So what does this tell us? Likely to be a top five, top six, depending on how it pans out. But as we know, Baffert goes through a lot of horses prepping for the Derby. What we see in November is not necessarily what we're going to see in May, right? I mean, he had Game Winner in there, fifth place in 2018. Not the winner, but he did compete. So there's that. Corniche obviously fell off, but he's gone through horses before, is what I'm saying. So what can you expect? I would expect Citizen Bull, barring any injury, any sort of setback, to be a Kentucky Derby contestant, given what we've seen in the past. Just given what we've seen in the past. All right, Formula Power rankings. Yeah, so what do I like right now? We're going to get into a couple of these horses in a bit here in other ways. Citizen Bull, obviously a BC Juvenile winner. East Avenue, a horse that was undefeated going into the BC Juvenile. Didn't fare very well, got off to a weak start. I have a feeling that horse is going to rebound. That's why I have him above Gaming. Gaming being the BC Juvenile, second place, the runner-up. Sovereignty, what can we say about Sovereignty? Won the Street Sense by 5 lengths. Is a Brad Cox horse. Is a Wilmot horse. I got my S horses confused. We'll get to Brad Cox in a second. It's a Wilmot horse. Winner of the Street Sense, so we're going to see more of him coming up soon. 5 lengths, he won that race by. Chancellor McPatrick, I think there's still room to talk about Chancellor McPatrick. So Chad Brown horse, in the mold of Zandon, in the mold of Sierra Leone. This is a deep closer. So what we've seen of Chancellor McPatrick, when he wins, he's coming back from like 9th place. I think he won the Champagne Stakes, if I'm not mistaken. Came back from 9th place in that race to win. So this is going to be a deep closer here. And we just saw how well Sierra Leone did for Chad Brown. Just won the BC Classic. Second place, just by a little bit at the Kentucky Derby. So we'll see there. Sacrosanct, 3 for 3 for Brad Cox. Now I can talk about Brad Cox. Winner of the Sleepy Hollow over Moplex. He's won a few smaller stakes races. Nothing graded yet, but I have a feeling that there's going to be more coming from Sacrosanct soon. Jonathan's Way, we talked about Jonathan's Way, obviously, or we saw a bit of Jonathan's Way in that clip there. Winner of the Iroquois by 2+ lengths over Owen Almighty. Moving down, we have Tip Top Thomas, the first Todd Pletcher horse that I have on my list here. Second at the Champagne Stakes to Chancellor McPatrick in that race. Comes from Volatile. And then we got Ferocious and Filoso, a couple other horses that I want to shine the light on for now in my top 10. So we'll see. Again, if we look a year ago, I did have the Kentucky Derby winner in my top 10 around this time. So not to brag or anything, but, maybe. Moving on to some races that have happened recently. So we're going to go through a couple races here. So Bullard, winner of the Bob Hope Stakes, grade 3, going 7 furlongs, winning by over 4 lengths in this one over a couple Bob Baffert horses and McKinsey Street, putting up a 122. So Bullard, I'm going to look at my notes here, making sure I'm on point. Bullard coming from Gunrunner, Michael McCarthy horse. He's 2 for 2 so far at Del Mar. Could be a horse that is he's a 2-year-old, obviously. Could be a horse that is geared towards the Derby. We'll see. Definitely one to put a bookmark on and be watching going forward. Moving on to some maiden races. This is one that I really liked here. Calling Card. Went a mile on dirt. So this is a horse. Calling Card from Michael Maker. Previous 2 attempts to break his maiden, ran on turf. First time out, 5th place. Second time out, I believe 2nd place. And then he gets to Aqueduct. I wish I had a clip of this. I was looking for one. It was hard for me to find. Maybe it's going to end up coming on YouTube soon, but ended up winning that by 17 lengths over Magny. 17 and a quarter lengths. You look at the time, it's not a hugely special time, but also once he got to that stretch run and he really stretched it out, he wasn't exactly running as fast as he could. 136.36. We're going to see another horse that ran at Del Mar that ran a similar time. Obviously, 132 for Easy Goer is the track record there, so still 4 seconds off of that. 17 lengths. It just essentially means that the field and a 70K purse, it wasn't as exceptional as you would expect, but still, calling card answered the bell. That's a horse that I definitely want to keep an eye on, especially with Joel Rosario on the mount there. Seemed to have improved what that horse had done moving to dirt. Journalism. So what I said before, moving to Del Mar, looking at another horse that broke his maiden, 136.49 for this horse here. The track record there's a 133. So not as good as a track record. It's about a second off of what we saw previously. Journalism coming from Michael McCarthy here, second time out. Third place the first time out, winning by 2.25 lengths here over Rank. So another horse to keep your eye on here. Journalism, definitely one that I've got my bookmark on. And Guns Loaded. Any guesses who the sire is on Guns Loaded? Of course, it's a gun runner. Gun runner, sire of Sierra Leone, by the way, which I always thought was a funny name for Sierra Leone. I'm not going to get in the political connotations of that, but I'll. So Jose D'Angelo being the trainer there. This was the second time out. First time out, he went 7 furlongs. This time out, going 6 furlongs, winning by 2.75 lengths in this race here at Churchill Downs over Camp Hale. Ain't no disco. Uh, not the horse that was favored in this race, but still at 3-1, one off at pretty low odds there. 109 for 6 furlongs. Indian Chant ran it at 107.55, as you can see there. Not so bad, not so bad. So Guns Loaded, that's another one I'm keeping a bookmark on for now. So let's talk about some upcoming races. We've got a couple coming up this weekend, and we've got one that's coming up next week that they just released entries on that I think is going to draw some attention. So the first one here, so on Churchill Downs on the 22nd, race 7, we've got a maiden special weight race going on here, 120K. So pretty big purse size here. A couple horses that I'm taking note of right now. Executive, begot from Constitution. Will Mott is the trainer. Twice on turf, came in 3rd place. Closer in both cases. I think the distance works out well for this horse as they are going 1 1/16 mile, which is a really good test if you're a Kentucky Derby aspirational horse here. So Executive is on my list here. Spurgeon, shout out to Jared Spurgeon, defender for Minnesota Wild here. This one comes from Honor AP, Ken McPeak trained horse. Ken McPeak, as you all know, trained Mystic Dan. 3rd race for this horse. Second last time out to Filoso, who was my number 10 horse, losing by 3 lengths after a poor start there, but had a great recovery. You look at the past performances there. You can see made up a lot of ground towards the end. And Scorpius, Brad Cox trained horse coming from Into Mischief. Into Mischief, outstanding sire. Second race for this horse, 5th the last time out in Keeneland on turf, moves over to dirt, took to the pace, faded, got into a speed duel there. So I'm curious to see what happens this time out, especially on dirt and with more distance as well. Churchill Downs, still on race 7, but the next day, the 23rd, we got a ton of horses packed into this race, still 120K purse. This one goes 6.5 furlongs. The first one I'm looking at here is a firster with great workouts. Yinzer, coming from Steve Asmussen and Twirling Candy. Yinzer up there. That's one I'm curious to see how he does. Restless Renegade, Into Mischief, trained by Ken McPeak. Second race, not great first time out. Should look better this next time, especially an Into Mischief horse. Those horses always seem to perform well. And finally, Brad Cox. If Brad Cox has a horse in this race, I'm going to take note here. Brad Cox with Florent Giroux on Sea Vista. A Street Sense horse, second race. Got second place first time out to Fletcher's Uncaged, 2 lengths behind. So got to expect that Sea Vista probably going to be the favorite in this race. Definitely one to take note of here as well. And moving on, we're still on race 7, but we're shooting ahead to the 27th. I believe this is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And the real reason that we're taking note of this race here, it's 120K, 5.5 furlongs, a real short distance, but this is Barnes. Bob Baffert dropping a horse in here. I mean, when's the last time Bob Baffert had a horse in Churchill Downs, right? I believe it was Medina Spirits. This is his first horse since Medina Spirit won the Kentucky Derby. A firster for Bob Baffert, dropping 48-second 4 furlong workouts and a 58-second 5 furlong workout. This is his $3.2 million horse from Into Mischief. The dam is American Pharoah. Everyone's curious to see how this horse does. So that is the first horse of note there. Bob Baffert, as we know, has 3 horses that we were looking at previously with Gaming, Citizen Bull, and Getaway Car all being in the BC Juvenile. Moving on, Brad Cox has a horse in this race as well. Tap It and the Dam comes from Into Mischief. So that's a pretty deadly combo for Caribbean Dream. And finally, Dwayne Lucas, the coach, has Innovator coming from Authentic. 3 maiden special weights, 2 seconds, ran 5th in the Hopeful Stakes. This horse has already had some stakes experience. So you got to think that it's going to be time pretty soon for this horse to break his maiden. And what do we got next? We have a thank you to everyone who watched. Thank you to everyone who watched, who listened. And that's all for me. If you guys plan to gamble, do so safely. Do so within your budget. Always set a budget for yourself. Be smart, be responsible, and as always, have a great time. Oh, one more button.